Hello, this is a project for a little girl's bedroom door. So it's a rather sweet little rabbit and mole and some lettering, the name of the little girl. So it's caused on a couple of sets of skills, some relief carving and knowing a little bit about your subject, and then the lettering here. Now what's interesting about the lettering is I've chosen a font that is quite square, but really once you understand what you're doing here, which is basically low relief carving up to the point of setting in, you can choose any letter style you like. And of course this sign would work well for a house sign or something like that as well. Anyway, there it is. I hope you enjoy it. I know it's difficult for some of you to get hold of pieces of wood, so I decided to have a go with this breadboard. It's about 1/2 inch thick, which is I think plenty thick enough, 15mm. Made up of joins, but fairly well put together, and some sort of hardwood, perhaps a bishi, that I think will carve okay. So I've got my board here. Now on there I need obviously my rabbit and my mole, so I first of all went to the internet, went to my nature books, and I found various pictures, and I like these two. This rabbit is interesting because I have carved a rabbit before, like this one. This is a blow up of a rabbit, and the grain of the wood went this way, and the ears could go this way. But because the grain is going in this direction, we need the ears to be strong, so we need to have the ears running along like this. I also wanted to turn the mole a little bit sideways so it's a little bit more obviously mole, and I ended up with a drawing that's very similar to the rabbit in the picture, but the mole a little bit turned to one side. Can you see? So there's my mole, and I've particularly emphasised the claw. I think that's, or it's claw, the hand, or its paw. I think that's a big mole thing. I've got soil. I put my little flowers in the middle. So there's my working drawing. The letters will go underneath that here, and we'll talk about that later when we come to the lettering. It's an entirely separate part of this project, so we'll take those away for the moment. But right at the top here will come the drawing. I'm going to glue that on with some photo mount or some spray adhesive. You could use woodworking adhesive, get that onto the board, and then we're ready to cut it out. And I can show you one that I did earlier. Here it is, here's the board. And I used my scroll saw, I always think this is really keen, cool to do this, to take off this waste. So what I've got here is the outline of the rabbit and the mole and the flower. Now if you don't have a scroll saw, then a coping saw like this will do. You needn't be too accurate because we are going to round all this over and clean up this edge. But you need to get it to this stage with the drawing fretted or cut out, and then we're ready to look at how to hold it and how to carve it. I'm holding it onto the bench with these big C clamps or G clamps, padded so they don't damage the wood. I'm holding it upright, more upright, so that we can film it better. This bit here is just to stop the thing falling down further down. So hold it tight against the bench like that, and we're ready to move on. Before we start the actual carving, I always like to pause and have a think about what I'm doing, in particular about wood that I'm going to leave, what I call high spots. So if we look about this rabbit here, we can see that because it's a relief, it's still, there's going to be a flatness to it, and this area here, probably from the eye all around here, and including that ear, that is going to be high. In other words, very little wood's going to be taken away. But here, we're going to take wood from here round the back. Now when we get round to the back, we have to remember that this wood here at the end there isn't supported. It's against the bench, but it's not really supported. So we want to stop short as we round it, just a little bit over here, millimetre or two, 1/16 of an inch from the back, so that we can then work the back and clean it up. So it'll go round and be a slight undercutting. So I can see this is a high spot, probably this is still high, this must be high here. These are all high here. We're going back down here, the tail is back. This edge here will be right rounded over. Same here, this is going back. The flowers will be high. This is all high. And I go across here. Now here's this claw, I've called it, this big hand. This is going to be high here, but the head of the mole, which will be high here, will go back down, and the nose will be back here. So I'm trying to visualize it, trying to imagine my hand going over it. So this is all high because the mole's going behind there, and then this is all back here. So go through the carving first and try and see, before we do anything, where we're going to remove wood away. And what we're going to do is probably start at the back here and take some of this away first.